Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information. We hear a lot about including whole grains instead of refined grains, but why? Today we're talking to Kelly Springer, dietitian from Kelly's Choice, all about the benefits of eating whole grains versus refined grains for people wanting to have better blood sugar control and to manage chronic disease.
I do believe that nutrition affects every single part of that health wheel. So if you don't have the nutrition right, the rest of the health is very difficult to achieve.
Stay with us to learn more about this.
Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Rob.
How's it going?
Good.
We got someone new on the show today.
Yeah, Kelly Springer, dietitian. She runs Kelly's Choice, and she's based near Syracuse, New York. And she's a well-known media dietitian in America.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, she's a health educator, and she employs 17 dietitians, clinical dietitians who do work with a variety of clients with chronic disease and diabetes. And today we're talking all about carbs. What's the difference between whole versus refined grains?
Perfect. I'm sure she'll have lots of input and great ideas to share with us. So let's get talking to Kelly.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks
Hello.
for joining us today.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
This is dietitian Kelly Springer from Kelly's Choice. And can you tell the listeners who you are and who you help?
Absolutely. So I am a registered dietitian, but I'm also a mom and a wife and a daughter. And so I'm helping my community. I'm trying to launch out nationwide and even go international. So we are trying to truly get nutrition education to as many people as possible.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great goal.
Exciting.
It's so nice. There's so much misinformation out there, especially through social media these days. It's so nice to have some accurate, science-based, qualified people talking about what we need to know and what we need to hear. So thank you for making that your mission.
It is. I have my degree, obviously, in nutrition. I'm a registered dietitian, but I'm also a health teacher. I got my master's in teaching.
Oh,
so I think I have, I know. It is interesting because I truly do believe in all aspects of health. And even though my focus is mainly on that nutrition part, it's because I do believe that nutrition affects every single part of that health wheel. So if you don't have the nutrition right, the rest of the health is very difficult to achieve.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, totally. I remember I said yesterday in one of our, we did a Nutrition Nuggets, a mini episode, and I said nutrition for every reason, for every season. Like we just need nutrition. It's just part of how our body's fueled and how we keep our health good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's where it was interesting right now. Throughout the world, mental health is being talked about a lot. And it's interesting to me that they haven't really made the correlation yet between nutrition and what we're eating and how that's correlating to our serotonin levels, our mental health capabilities. And so I'm also trying to get into that realm to do a lot of education around that exact topic.
Yeah, that's a huge one for sure. We've touched on that a little bit, and yeah, there's definitely a relationship, and like you said, it's probably not talked about enough. So it's good that it's starting to become a bit more of a focus.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That makes so much sense. And yeah, thank you for bringing that up because that's such an important piece of health is just mental health in addition to physical health and social health and psychological health. So it's all person's well-being. So I have a first question for you. So I noticed that you educate people that have blood sugar control issues, or they're trying to manage their blood sugar, even like if they have diabetes or pre-diabetes. And so I just had a few questions around that topic. So why are whole grains better than refined grains for blood sugar control?
Well, I'm glad you brought up that question. So, I have this great analogy that really helps to explain this because I think a lot of people are confused. And even yesterday, I did a webinar on this exact topic. So, if you think about carbohydrates, it's a big word and it's a big, big realm. So, think about carbohydrates and think about this giant rainbow, okay? Because so many foods fall into the carbohydrate realm. So think about the rainbow of all those different foods, all those different colors. One side of the rainbow is pot of gold, and the other side of the rainbow is an angry leprechaun. So what is the difference? The difference is when we have whole grains, when we have fruits and vegetables, those are all carbohydrates, but those are pot of gold. Why? The reason why is because they have something in them called fiber. So this is where when we have a whole grain, we have a germ, a bran, and an endosperm. We have all three parts. And when we have all three parts, this helps control blood sugar levels, pot of gold. This is where every dietitian is telling you to eat these types of foods, but they never explain why. This is the big, huge why. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Nice.
on the other side is the angry leprechaun. That angry leprechaun is just getting the endosperm. It's just getting the sugar. And so this is going to spike blood sugar levels. This is going to cause a lot of inflammation in the body. And this is what's leading to a lot of our chronic disease. So we have this huge rainbow of carbohydrates, but we really want to talk about the difference between the pot of gold and those fiber-rich sources and the angry leprechaun, the very simple carbohydrates that are just pure sugar. So that makes sense, right?
Oh, I love it.
Totally.
You are
Yeah.
definitely a health educator. I can tell. Like that is such a great analogy. I love it.
Well, the thing is, I think that a lot of us are saying words and we're putting it out there, but the consumer really truly doesn't see the visual and doesn't understand what we're trying to convey.
Exactly. You hear a lot of people who are like, I don't eat carbs. And I'm like, but you're eating an apple. That's a carb. Like what they mean, I think, is they don't eat pasta and bread. And, there's so many diets nowadays where like you're not allowed to eat all that stuff. Right. And I don't know how well the people that are on these diets actually understand what it is they're supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing, given what they're
I
still
100%,
eating.
yes, I
Right.
100% agree with you on that. And so I have, there's been physicians, there's been different people that have come to me and say, well, people know how to eat healthy, they just don't. I do not agree with that statement. I see all different types of people, all different types of ages. And I have to tell you that they have not been educated properly in the way of research-based nutrition education, and they truly do not know. They're completely confused.
It's so confusing.
Totally.
It's one reason we started our podcast, because I just constantly have so many questions for Sandra. Like we've been together for like half of our lives, like 25 years or something. And you think I would get it by now, but I don't. And I'm still confused about, well, why can't I eat this? And why is, there's just so many, it's so
I don't
confusing.
say you can't eat anything.
No,
ever.
I don't mean that. I just mean that there's certain things that are good and bad, and it's confusing. And so that's kind of my role with the podcast, is to act like everyone else out there going, okay, what do you mean? What are you guys talking about? So,
Well, it's very interesting. Right before we got on this recording today, I had two people in my office that and the woman will say, she has tried every single diet under the sun. She had no idea what she was supposed to do. It was super confusing. And before she started seeing me, she basically was going through a starvation diet because she didn't know what to have. And since working with us and getting the education on carbohydrates, like we just went through, protein sources, fat sources, going through like how to walk through the grocery store, they have been able, both her and her husband, to reverse fatty liver disease, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure.
wow.
And so this is where understanding that it really does take a nutrition expert to help break down the information and deliver it where she's now eating more than she's ever eaten before. And she feels good, energy levels are up, and she has reversed her chronic disease because it was just about putting these foods together in the right way.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I
absolutely.
love that. That is so incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that case study, because this is the power of the information and the knowledge and putting it all together in a way that is, people can understand. Because I think that's the whole part, is being like digestible information, so that people can understand what you're saying and what you mean by, you can have some carbs. I mean, the apple's fine. And like you said, it's the pot of gold. It's the carb that is offering you all those vitamins and minerals and
Mhm.
fiber and good nutrition. Whereas those refined grains are just that angry leprechaun, because it's only being fueled by the simple sugars and it's not getting the fiber, and it's a quick energy. And I just love that. And you helped reverse fatty liver and their diabetes, and probably I bet their weight is under better control too, eh?
Yes, he is down 84 pounds and
Oh
she is
man.
down over 100 pounds.
Oh my God,
Wow.
Kelly, that is incredible. Oh, this is so
It
good to
is.
hear.
It is. And this is just one of the thousands of people that we have truly helped. And it's one of those things. I love what I do. If you couldn't hear that from my voice, I love what I do
I
because
can feel it.
when we educate and we bring this just a positivity to nutrition, because I think it's been so negative and so restrictive. I remember back to my mom doing the grapefruit diet or doing restrictive things my whole life, and so I was witness to what these people grew up with. And it was all about restriction of what you couldn't have. And we're still in that realm. So when we bring this positivity that we can do this and we're going to have cheerleaders behind you, giving you the right information, giving you the right recipes, making nutrition fun again, and that you really truly are fueling your bodies to give you, that pot of gold, like you said.
That
Like
is
you
so
said, I
amazing.
think that
Yeah.
was such a great analogy. Like, it was just such a good visual. And, this will help so many people, because just that, I love that, because it's the pot of gold. It's the rainbow of the phytochemicals in the plant-based foods, like the fruits and vegetables that have color, and white is a shade that's involved with that rainbow too, because you think of garlic and onions and cauliflower all have beneficial phytochemicals and antioxidants, and good, they're part of the pot of gold. So I just think
Yes.
that is so awesome. Like, what a great way to demonstrate and have a visual image for people about carbohydrates, because it's such a big word with so many connotations for so many people.
Yeah.
It is for sure. And it's been like starting in clinical, and you learn very quickly that you're writing all the time, chronic disease due to excessive carbohydrate intake, where we were never really explaining what kind or what they're getting or how it's happening. It was just lumped all together. And I would write that, I remember in clinical, over and over again. And we weren't really educating the right way on this fiber content or, like you said, the nutrients and vitamins. So I think we've come a long way. We still have a long way to go as a profession, but I think we're getting the message out better than we were before.
I think you're right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I mean, there are still a lot of people that I see, a lot of clients that are on a low carb diet or a keto diet or paleo, or, the types of diets that are basically cutting out the whole food group. And I don't think, following people over time, you see that all of a sudden, they're getting constipated and they're developing fatty liver or gout or other problems, because they're not getting the fiber. And I'm glad you mentioned the word fiber, because it is such a big piece of the puzzle when we're talking about carbohydrates. And we were talking about, carbs come from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and nuts and seeds and beans. So, getting enough fiber in our day in a way that's like in a balanced way, is really important. And I think, restricting whole food groups can be so detrimental to people's health in the long term.
I 100% agree. If I could just get people to understand where fiber comes from, how much to get in a day, and to incorporate it, I really truly believe that we could be reversing a lot of chronic disease. And that gets back really honestly to the mental health aspect. So when we eat that fiber source, it breaks down by our gut bacteria, creating 90% of the serotonin, our happiness transmitter. So this is where we're talking about, like you said, like the fatty liver, the prediabetes, the heart disease. But this is also that fiber leads back to reducing mental health issues, anxiety and depression, especially.
I was going to say, with the clients you were just talking about too, just their results and the feeling that they get, the positive feelings they get from that is going to be good for their mental health. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
not including the chemical aspects of it, but just feeling elated that they're seeing positive results and weight, loss and all that sort of stuff. It's huge.
It is huge. And you should see the smile on their faces. I mean,
I
they
bet.
are truly happier people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, they're not carrying around a lot of extra weight. That's a huge, like, weight off their shoulders, like kind of literally, but also just the feeling like I'm sure if they're reversing fatty liver and getting their blood sugars under better control and reversing diabetes, they're going to be feeling a lot more energy and have more vim and vigor and just feel better about their day-to-day living.
Absolutely. Now they're growing a garden. It's really great for me because they're bringing me fresh fruits and vegetables.
Oh,
So
awesome.
it's been such a great relationship. And that's where I feel the relationship also is a big piece of connecting with whoever your dietitian is or who you're working with in any part of your practitioners, to have that relationship where you can speak honestly and openly. Different things have come out with this relationship of what happened in the past and some very difficult things. And it's been correlated to their eating behaviors as well.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
not a therapist, but that relationship and being able to be open to hearing what's going on in their life at that moment and maybe in the past is something that we work on as well.
Yeah, that's
That's so
amazing.
wonderful. What excellent feedback too, and I'm so glad that you brought in that whole case study, because that kind of is a reflection of how well things can change if people improve their diet and the results they can have with their overall health and reversing chronic disease that would be, eventually taking years off their life. And this is awesome. I just love to see results like that. And it's not a diet. It's incorporating it. Like you said, they're eating more food than ever. So it's not like they're just changing the ratio of what they're eating. That's what I'm thinking that you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It really is the education of putting it all together, of making sure that we have lean protein sources, we have that fiber source, we're getting water. And that's why it does take a course. So we call it the transformation program. We take them through a course because what I used to do, and I do have to say, it was very hard to change, because when I came out of nutrition, I just wanted to do this nutrition dump with people. Like I was so excited and like, listen to all the things I know. But it wasn't helpful because it was too much information. And now we break it in, like you said, the word, and I love that, digestible information. And so we now break it up into little segments, and they can come back week to week to say, this is what I worked on. This is my goal for carbohydrates or for hydration or for movement. And so each week we kind of build on each other. And I think it's going much better that way, because they are able to take that information and truly digest it and put it into practice, and then come back with concerns or what went well or what went wrong.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes
Oh,
sense. Then you can see the big picture eventually, right?
Yes, exactly.
that's right. Well, that maybe that'll lead me to a question about where people can find you and what programs you offer online.
Absolutely. So our website is kellyschoice.org. And we also on Instagram, it's Kelly's Choice _nutrition. So both places you can find us. On LinkedIn, it's Kelly Springer. So there's lots of ways to connect with us. And we offer lots of different programs. So we have 17 dietitians across the US that are able to work with medical nutrition therapy. We do take insurance, so it was fantastic. And we also work with work sites. So we push into about 200 companies now. We offer programming in the way of exercise and nutrition and newsletters and blogs. And we have over 250 videos that really help to support that work site by doing challenges. So there's lots of different ways to interact. But if you want to just come to us privately, or if you want to get us into your work site, and we'd be happy to grow into the Canadian space.
Wow.
I am just an hour or 2 hours away from the Canadian border. So we are very, very close, and happy to also grow into Canada as well, our friendly neighbors to the north. So I just believe that if everyone was able to get this education, we truly could help all of our medical dollars and truly get people healthier.
That sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
It's like one-stop shopping, hey? Everything you need in one place. That's great.
That's what we're trying to do. So thank you for saying that. But yes, we checked the boxes.
Right. You got it.
That's right. Well, we have one last question that we ask every one of our guests we have on the podcast, just so that the listeners can get to know you a bit better as a person. So when you go to a potluck, what dish do you bring to share?
All right. So you're going to laugh at this, but I honestly don't really like to cook. I know that's crazy because most dietitians are huge cooks and they love it. But my husband is Russian and Italian, and he does all the cooking in the house.
Done.
So number one, I probably would have him make a dish. But if I was going, I would bring a veggie tray because it always gets eaten. People love it. And it truly brings in more vegetables to the party. So that is my go-to. I tell all of my patients, always bring either a veggie or a fruit tray because it's something that you can eat. It's something that everyone loves to share, and you don't have to cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. I love that. That's what I bring too. I love bringing the veggie tray to potlucks.
Well, there's lots
For
of people
those
who
reasons.
like to make all the fancy stuff. So yeah, the fruit trays and veggie trays are always welcome, right?
Yes. And something, just so you know, people that are listening, I have priced it out. So if you were to buy everything separately and take it home and cut it up and do it, it's actually cheaper to buy the veggie tray than buying everything separate.
Really?
How about that? Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it really is kind of amazing that you can have it ready to go. So something that you can buy even in during the week for your own family. Think about that as well, because when it's cut up and ready to go, you're more likely to eat it.
Exactly. Interesting.
Absolutely.
Good to know. Yeah, I've never compared. I just assumed that because they seem pricey, but I've never compared to buying all the bits individually. And that's, good point.
And throw in your time too, right?
Well,
So
my
that's
time
worth
is
it.
very valuable. So you're right. Yeah.
That's right. You're trying to run this podcast, Rob, and edit and publish.
Exactly.
That's right. And deal with me and
That's a full-time job, honey.
all the other dietitians that we interview too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
No, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise and all those good gold nuggets of information, Kelly. We really appreciate all the value you've offered our listeners today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I truly appreciate your time.
I think we'll definitely have to hit you up again and get some more of those descriptive analogies.
I lived through analogy, so there's a lot more to come.
Perfect. Yeah. No, it's been really fun. We enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I hope the listeners got a lot of information that they can take away and use right away.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Yeah. All right. Thanks again, Kelly. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks,
Sounds good.
Kelly. Well, that was an enlightening conversation.
Yeah. It's nice to have someone who's got some passion and experience, obviously, with what she's talking about. It's nice to see.
Yeah, with her master's in health education and her excellent descriptions and analogies for basic principles that are kind of distilled into bite-sized morsels for people.
I like all those little puns. Yeah, those were great. And I think I bet she's got just tons of those. I'd love to talk to her again she was just so good at explaining things. And that's obviously her background and education coming through. So
Yeah, and the case studies that she shared were really
mind blowing.
Yeah.
That was great to hear too. So yeah, check out her website. She's got tons of services and obviously has put a lot of work into what she does. And like she said, she loves what she does. She's passionate about it, and it obviously shows through with the work she's doing. So
yeah, Kelly Springer, dietitian from Kelly's Choice.
And it was like her website is kellyschoice.org. I believe it's .org. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was great to talk all about carbs and the difference between whole grains versus refined grains on blood sugar control.
Yeah. And we will have links to her website and social media pages on our show notes, so be sure to check those out.
Listeners can also check out previous episodes, episode 17, all about fiber that we discussed, and because we brought up some of those topics with Kelly today, and also diet trends throughout the ages, episode 12, when she mentioned the grapefruit diet that her mom was on, and all the different, like the paleo and low carb diets out there. And that's a really fun one that we did way back, episode 12.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this stuff a lot, but it was nice to sort of have it all wrapped into a pretty understandable, concise picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so check those out. Lots more information there.
And we'll link those in the show notes too.
Yeah. And we will be back on Wednesday with Nutrition Nuggets, our midweek mini episode, and then again next week with a full episode. And in the meantime, you can check out our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and also our website, mywifethedietitian.com. Be sure to check that out. There's lots of new information there coming up, blog articles, that sort of thing. And if you have questions, comments, ideas for the show, that sort of thing, you can reach us through email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to rate and review the show. We always appreciate ratings, reviews. If you feel like putting a few words together, sort of describing your experience with listening to our show and what it's done for you, if anything, hopefully lots. And that's always helps us move the show forward. So we appreciate you guys listening and sharing your thoughts. Okay, in the meantime, have a great week, everyone. We'll be back on Wednesday. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.